Malaysian dating is now broken, and this is why. First off, my name is Mush, and for the last 3 years, I was actually the head of marketing at a dating company. I was actually the head of marketing for Sugarbook, and my colleague also was head of marketing at Tinder Malaysia when she joined. So I've seen dating, I've seen the dating industry inside, outside, on the business side, commercial side, and even down on the ground. And this is me telling you about the experiences. So before I go into it, in 2022, or was it 2023, I did a challenge and I went out on 60 Bumble dates throughout the whole 1 year, and it was absolutely tiring. But I met a lot of women there, and I learned a lot about the dating market and what was going on girls' head nowadays, and how absolutely messed up we are as well with our, for those who are single now, especially in your 30s. As you expected, women especially, as you reach late 20s and early 30s, because I'm 34 years old, that's when you're going to meet a lot who are already super guarded and jaded and have these unbelievably unrealistic expectations of what they want to get when their market value has gone down a bit lower. So, like, for example, they have emotional baggage, they have very strict boundaries. As they get older, they realize, like, okay, I want to change and I'm going to be better. I'm not going to give it as easily. But when they meet men who can finally be like a potential husband, or even a great boyfriend, but potential husband, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give myself too easily like before. And of course, the man is going to feel like, whoa, I'm not getting the full version of you. I'm getting the restricted version of you. I have to pay more to get what others got so easily and for free, especially the guys that she was just doing for fun. On top of that, women in the late 20s, and I'm talking about those in early 30s, they have a lot of requirements, especially when they decide to settle down. The guy must be stable, must have a car, must have a career, must not have any mental health issues, must have his life sorted out, must have a house, must have savings, must want to have children, and must be wanted to be married in that 1 year, and must be treating them like a princess, and they don't want to work. They just want to be housewives. And I'm sorry, but if the man that you're seeing is a rich person who is running the family's business, then why not? But that man, there's only roughly about 1,400 high quality, financially rich men like that in the Klang Valley in Malaysia. 1,400 compared with the population of Malaysia, which is about 35 million. So the 1,400 men that the women want is literally like 0.01%. So what about the rest? Okay, I'm going to talk about what happened and what I found out in all the dates I've had so far. Both want love, but they also want something else in mind. Love for them means different things. So, for example, the argument that I gave just now was that women who are in their early 30s, those who have been played around, it's basically them giving themselves for free to all these men who just wanted to use them and was not serious or whatever. So when they finally met someone who wants to settle down, so let's say they match on Bumble and the guys, I want to settle down, let's see if this can match, and she says yes too, and they meet. But during the dating courtship, she puts a high wall. I'm not gonna give you myself as easily as before, while expecting the man to give more, like husband or boyfriend standards, financially, mentally, emotionally, everything, before giving this part over here. And this man over here, when he hears stories of the woman here who has had multiple partners in her early 20s, and who actually, in the interviews and the dates I went through, they actually said, yeah, I remember after my divorce, they're not going to give it as easily, even if they were to meet the right guy or the right person. Of course, some of them say, oh, what if he's just lying? Actions are, you look through their actions, as if he's consistent, he's warm, he's available, he's ready, why not? And let's say you were to give yourself to him in the early stages of dating and he ghosts away, at least now you know what he wanted and you can move on to the next one ASAP. I know that sounds like bad advice, but long story short, you weed off what's wrong and what's right, who's looking for you and whatnot. But that's the thing. So like, how do you figure out which is the man that really wants to be with you? But the other question is, you used to give yourself for free to men who didn't deserve you at all. So why would you be so hard on the man that does deserve you, the man who does want to provide and give you and build a life with you? See there? So that's what I'm trying to say there. Number two is that we flip around. So let's say the girl meets a guy and the guy's, oh, before this I used to always give allowances, pay for dates, handbags, splurge on the birthdays and Valentine's on all these expensive items on my exes. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm just gonna look for love. I want a woman to fall in love with me and not for my money. So they go start dating and she's giving herself to him and they're together for maybe a few months already, like a boyfriend and girlfriend. But of course she's gonna feel like, wow, before this he would give money and pay for all his exes, but now that I love him, I take care of him, I give myself to him, he's not giving me any money at all. So that is the equivalent comparison when it comes to this. So both become jaded as well. One doesn't want to give money, the other one knows. A lot of the men who meet this woman in their late 30s or in the early 30s and late 20s also realize that the ones I met, many of them are divorced, many of them have kids, and they still have super high requirements about who you are, how you are, what you can provide. So why would they go for women in the early 30s when they can just go for younger women, those in mid 20s or early 20s, which is what happened naturally. And I also realized my demographics went down lower and lower in age. Bear in mind that for my first 6 girlfriends, the long-term girlfriends, they were all older than me except for one who was 3 years younger. After I turned 30, 31 years old, for some reason I started attracting girls younger than me compared to those 10 years, 12 years, 6 years, 3 years older than me. So I used to date only old women exclusively in my 20s. But after I turned 30, I started dating younger women, and I don't know why, but it just naturally gravitated towards that. I was still open-minded towards dating those older than me and younger, but it seems that I was attracting more of the younger ones, which makes sense because as a 34-year-old head of marketing at a different company now, I earn more, I'm more stable, emotionally stable, more mature. Of course, I'm still not the best. No one will be the best. No one. A lot of girls will be like, oh, you call yourself mature? Yes, I can say that because I can compare myself at 34 and 24-year-old Mush. Trust me, when I was 24, I would lose my temper left and right, drive like crazy, financially all over the place. A lot of the emotional stuff and maturity I haven't had yet at 24 compared to now at 34. And of course, there's always more to grow. Yeah, so that's one thing that I noticed about this. And then, not to mention, when you do match with someone on Bumble and Tinder, even me, there's this thought at the back of our heads where we're like, maybe the next one's better. So, yeah, and it will never end. And even if you find someone who is legit good, you're still in touch and in connection and matching with others. So the temptation is really high up there. When we meet someone, it becomes like a transaction, like a business thing. We review them, criticize them, see what we want, see what they have, see what they don't have, yes or no. So nobody feels satisfied. The other thing that I really learned, and why dating apps really do not work, and this is actually the number one reason, I should have started with this, is that women go for the top 5% of men. And men, they go for the top 5% of women, but men are more open to swiping to more kinds of women. They go for all women. So what happens is like this. Let's say you have 10 men and 10 females. all 10 females want to go only for the 10s and the 9s. 10 is handsome, 1 is ugly. So 10 women would only want to go for the top beautiful guys. And then for the top men, of course they're going to go for the beautiful woman, or even the 6, 7, 8s, because they have options. And then what happens to the rest of the men? Those who are not the 9s or the 10s, those who are 1s to 8s. So they are more open to dating women who are not 9s and 10s, because they know they're not going to get a model like that. So they're open to dating someone maybe at the same level, a 6 with a 6. A male who is 7 in the attractiveness factor is open to dating a woman in the 7th. So at least they match in terms of attractiveness. But what happens is, women also want the best. Men are more open to they swipe more. That's a fact. So what happens is, the top 5% of men, they are overwhelmed by so many choices. I saw one of my friends, her Bumble on her page. She doesn't go to the swiping site. She goes to the page where people chose her. And there were 2,000 matches. And she is not that pretty. She's maybe a 6. And she had 2,000 matches, 2,000 people who liked her. She only has to pick which one she wants. And it's literally like that. Imagine having 2,000 people who swipe on you and you can choose who you want to be with. So this woman, eventually, they want to settle down, but that's the thing, it's settling down. That wasn't the one that they wanted to look for in the first place. And they will always keep thinking like, oh, maybe I can do better. That's a trap there. Many people, especially those women who are 6, 7, 8, 9s, 6, 7, and 8, the average looking women who are a bit pretty but not like the super prettiest one, they temporarily date above the level to the handsome men, but they cannot secure long-term commitment because they have so many more options. They would prefer another 9 or 10. Why would they want to go for you as a man? And the thing is, the top 5% of women, the beautifulest women, they don't want to have 20 boyfriends or 20 men sleeping around. No, they just want to choose 1 or 2. So for safety reasons. But the top 5% of men, one handsome man can easily have 20 to 40 women, because men by default want to have more. So one handsome man can command 20 to 40 pretty women, while a top 5% woman will not want to have, of course she has 1,000 men, 2,000 men chasing after her, but she would still just want to sleep with one man and not sleep with 20 men. You see that? So what happens now is, the beautiful women, they get their man, that's fine. The beautiful man, not only do they get a woman, they get the entire woman as well, even the average looking ones. And the average looking females want the alpha man. So what happens is, the losers are actually the men who are average looking and also the women who are average looking. Because now the men who are average looking, they're not getting any matches because the woman wants someone higher, someone more better looking. So they feel lonely. And this woman who want only the top man, but they cannot get commitment, eventually will feel, oh, I'm just sleeping with these handsome guys and they're using me and they just want my body and that's it. Obviously, because these handsome men, they have options. I used to be a playboy back then. And I have friends who are playboys and they tell me they have so much options. They don't even want to settle down. Why should they settle down when they have so many women coming at them? So that's why we are now. Like, the dating apps only work for those who are supremely beautiful or handsome. For the rest of us, a lot of people are lonely now. A lot of people are single. So the man who got rejected, men in their early 30s or late 20s who got rejected, the average looking man, those who wants to settle down, they find out about this woman who, so of course, as they grow older, they're gonna go look for someone younger, because a younger woman does not have as much damage or baggage as all these older women. So the older women, what happens to them? They either become a second wife, a third wife, or they end up with just attracting a lot more of those people who use them because no one wants to commit to them. So eventually they lose, because women, here's the thing, you are beautiful right now. You're beautiful when you're 24, you're beautiful when you're 18, you're beautiful maybe when you're 28, still beautiful when you're 30. But when you're 33, when you're 35, when you're 36, a 36-year-old woman, I'm 34. I don't think I want to date. But now, no, because I still want to have kids. I want to get married, right? And women want someone more mature and stable and all that stuff. So it makes sense why naturally those in the early 20s are choosing me right now. Their market value went down compared to when they were 18 to late 20s. That's when the market value was highest because women are most beautiful, most fertile, most thinness. For men, it's reversed. Men has no market value in their 20s, literally, because we just have our looks, but we have nothing. No money, no career, no achievement, no stability, no emotional maturity. We have no value at all. We only have value once we're 30 years and above. That's when men become, like they say, wine becomes better as it gets older. So yeah, a 40-year-old man who's single and rich, that sounds more tempting than a 40-year-old woman. You see what I mean now? A 40-year-old woman with lots of boundaries, baggage, and wouldn't want to give herself, and that and that. You see what I mean? So it's really sad when you see the dating market right now. So expectations are much more higher. Trust is lower. People are too careful now. For me right now, at my stage, what am I looking for? What do I want? In Sugar Book, everything is about transactions, right? Okay, I give you money, you give me honey. I give you honey, I give you money. So it's just that. It's hard to find love in that. I've had experiences in that. Some have found it, but it's very rare because you need a lot of money. Which then, yes, you can find love, but you need a lot of money. If the money dies down, the love goes away. So, not really love. So what do I want as a 34-year-old corporate male who is a head of marketing and communications for a big company? At this stage, I want a life partner. I want someone who I can grow with, who believes in me before my success. So I don't want to date women who are like, do you have a house? Do you have a fancy car? Do you have this and this much in your bank account? Can you get married this year? End of this year. These are women who literally then are gold diggers. It makes sense because they want to find someone now, but it also shows that they only want men who are already successful at the top. Not men who are struggling in the 20s trying to build something up. You know what I mean? Because if you date this kind of woman and something happens to you, you marry them and you go down. My ex-boss is a multi-millionaire. He bought a McLaren car. He has 7 cars. And he has a lot of Rolex and Patek Philippe watches. And he told me, Mush, being rich is not like this. And you want a woman who can be through all of that. Not just up here. I noticed that when things went down for me in my 20s, when I lost my job, I physically fractured my spine, or I got injured physically, or my mental health goes down, they start looking elsewhere. And those 3 were the main reasons why they left me. And I was very unhappy because when I met them, I was at the peak of my career. I had this side business called Humans of KL, which was really, before COVID, we were at the top. We were like viral all the time. So they met me during those times. And the doctor met me when I was head of editorial for a big media company in Malaysia. But the moment that things went down, they're gone. So it's true that we need to build ourselves up, that we need to be stable. But that's the thing. If I were to wait until I'm finally like that, I will be old, much more older. And I'd rather find someone now who believes in my potential. He's a businessman. And she told me that, I asked her, like, what happens if he loses his company or loses his business? Because it happened to him, actually, he did go to jail. And she told me, like, I believe in him. I know him. I know that even if he loses his money, loses his business, and he cannot pay for me, I know that he's going to do his hardest to make sure that we will survive and we will be okay again. So, and I was like, that's very smart. So that's what I mean. I want a life partner, someone who I can grow with, who believes in me, who believes that I can provide for them, and who supports me in my business, in my career, so that I can provide for all of us and the future family, not someone who has everything ready already. If that's true of me, then you as a woman should also have everything ready already. Yeah, so a real relationship is two people building life together, growing wealth and stability together, and supporting each other's journey. But right now, with the dating market, with the dating apps right now, it's all just a product purchase. It's all product reviews, comparisons, and no one's buying anything, no one's trusting anything, no one's loving. And that's sad because a lot of people now are choosing to be single and alone. Even me, as a 34-year-old, sometimes I just tell myself, let's give up on online dating. And I have. Let's just not maybe even go out because I'm too lazy to go out to even try and meet random people, because it takes a lot to meet random strangers and ask them out for dates, and you might be rejected and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Here's a question for you. Are dating apps helping people find love, or is it making it harder? And there's a reason why a lot of Gen Zs now, they don't go dating apps at all. They prefer to meet face to face. And that's something that maybe us millennials can take and learn from that as well. So yeah, this has been my experience about the dating industry in Malaysia. As a dating company, I understand we need to make money. If they find true love on the first match, how are we going to make more money? So that's why they have a lot of incentives and tactics, and especially with Bumble and Tinder, the way they designed it so that you always keep looking for people, you never stop. It's a business after all. I myself went through this because, like I said, I was the head of marketing and comms for a dating company for almost 3 years, and I myself went out on 60 mobile dates in 2023, and yeah, I used to be a plumber back then. But yeah, and till next time.